Hello guys, welcome to another video of DevOps. In this video, we are going to discuss about DevOps, CI/CD, and continuous delivery. Okay, we'll be discussing basics of DevOps, what is DevOps, why we need DevOps. We'll be discussing some of the important component of DevOps, that is continuous integration, continuous deployment, and continuous delivery. We'll be discussing the differences and we'll be seeing the use cases as well with the examples. So let's begin the video. Let me start by explaining what is DevOps. So DevOps is a set of practices that combines software development and IT operation. Initially in waterfall approach, generally software development team was different and IT operation team was different. So it was very difficult to release the software efficiently and easily. Now in terms of DevOps, it's very easy to release the software, to develop the software and deploy the software easily using the DevOps tools and DevOps engineers. This aims to shorten the development life cycle and deliver high quality software continuously. So when companies were not using DevOps, they were following the waterfall approach, which was generally of 6 months or 1 year a cycle. So it was generally very difficult to get the updates and get the feedbacks easily and frequently. Whenever someone is using DevOps, it's very easy to shorten their development life cycle. They can develop the fix of code in a week or maybe 15 days, and they can release that in weekly or monthly basis. Okay, we'll be discussing how we can achieve the DevOps. How basically, if I explain DevOps in just one line, this is just automating all the tasks which were being done manually. If you have to push the change, you just use CI/CD pipelines or tools to pull the change, push the change, or deploy the changes. Okay, you basically build a pipeline or automate all the steps which were being done manually earlier by the developers or IT operations teams. Okay, let's move ahead. These are some of the core concepts in DevOps: continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment. If you are giving interviews on DevOps, you will be asked about these concepts. You may be asked about these differences between all these three. So let's see what are all these. Okay, continuous integration is nothing but developing your code and building your code and just running the test cases. You can say something like this: frequent integration of code changes into a shared repository. So suppose I am a developer. I will make a change. I will create one feature branch from my main branch, and from that feature branch, I will make my change and create a pull request, and I will merge that to my main branch. Once that code is merged, my continuous integration pipeline, that is nothing but a simple pipeline which will build the code, run the unit test cases, run the SonarQube scans, or run the code coverage test or something like this. And once my code is pushed to the main branch by PR, the pipeline, continuous integration pipeline, will be triggered automatically, and this will build the code and this will run all the test and scan. If there is any issue, it will fail the pipeline and it will just send an email communication to the developer to fix the issues. So with continuous integration pipeline, generally we get feedback very early, because just whenever you push the code, you will get the feedback in few minutes, in a minute or couple of minutes, or it depends on the continuous integration pipeline completion time. Okay, the next is continuous delivery. This is just the automation of releasing your code to production environment. Whenever your continuous integration pipeline is complete, that means your code is built and your code is fine. All the scans and unit test cases are successful. Then you might want to release that code to your production. In that case, you will be creating one release pipeline and you will be doing this continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Okay, this is automation of releasing code changes to a production like environment after CI. So suppose you have dev environment, QA environment, and production environment. you might want to deploy all the changes in those environment. So in continuous delivery, generally if you have some staging environment after your code is built in continuous integration pipeline, that will be automatically deployed to the staging environment. Okay, once that is done, someone from your management team or someone from your architect team will check the status. If everything is fine, they will approve the pipeline and it will deploy that into the production as well. So that is called continuous delivery. And in case of continuous deployment, everything is automated. Your release pipeline is fully automated till development environment to production environment. Whenever your continuous integration pipeline is complete, this will trigger your continuous deployment pipeline, and this pipeline will deploy your code in each environment, dev, QA, and production. Okay, so whatever you have successful release of this continuous integration pipeline will be automatically deployed via this continuous deployment pipeline. There is a minor difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment. In case of continuous deployment, your pipeline will be triggered automatically and it will deploy all your code till production. But in case of continuous delivery, your code will be deployed only till staging environment or some production like environment, but not in production. If that has to be deployed in production, someone has to review that and approve that so that it will be deployed by someone from the team manually in the production. Okay, let's move ahead. Now let's see what is continuous integration in detail, along with the examples and some of the tools which we can use to create the continuous integration pipelines. Okay, developers frequently merge code into a shared repository. If you have a shared repository, suppose GitHub, Azure DevOps repository, Bitbucket, or somewhere else, you can make the code changes or multiple developers will merge code into that repository. Okay, so that one pipeline should be there which will check if the merged code is okay and successfully building that, or it will check after building and running all the unit test cases and the SonarQube scans or Nexus IQ kind of scans, okay, to scan the libraries. Automated test runs are to verify code integrity. Okay, what are the benefits? Early detection of issues, like I already said. If you have integrated SonarQube and Nexus IQ tool inside your CI pipeline, or you can say build pipeline, it will check your code and it will throw error if you have any issues inside the code. This way you can early detect the issues inside your code. Okay, this improves code quality. It will show you and it will just give you what is the issue, what are the issues you have in your code, like duplicacy or any source code related issues or any libraries kind of issues, if you are using some old libraries and all. So this will improve code quality so that if you deploy this code into the production, your code will not break. Okay, this accelerates development speed. Basically this will just increase your development life cycle. You can release your softwares easily and efficiently within a week or maybe daily as well. Okay, you just have to merge the code into your main branch and this CI pipeline will automatically be triggered. This will build the code and will trigger the CD pipeline to deploy your code. What are the examples? Jenkins or Azure pipelines for automating build and test cycles. These are some of the tools like Jenkins, Azure DevOps pipelines, GitHub Actions as well. There are so many tools available to create the continuous integration or to achieve this continuous integration feature. Let's now move ahead. We'll see what are the use cases and examples. Let's see this scenario. Multiple developers working on a web application. CI server automatically builds the application and run tests whenever code is pushed. Suppose 10 developers are working for a web application and all 10 are publishing or merging their code to the main branch. This CI pipeline will automatically trigger and build that application and run the test cases. Okay, whenever some developer has pushed the code. Okay, these are some of the tools: Jenkins, GitHub Actions, Azure Pipelines for the continuous integration. What are the impacts? Early bug detection. If you have bug in your code, this you can detect it. If you are, suppose you have messed up something and your code is unable to build, then this pipeline will fail in build the code, and you can get the issues and you can fix the issues early and easily. Okay, you can improve the code quality. You can achieve this seamless team collaboration using the CI pipeline. Now let's discuss what is continuous delivery. This automates the release of code after CI to a staging or production like environment. Like I already said, once your CI pipeline is complete, once your code is built, a scan is successful, SonarQube scan and Nexus IQ, if you have integrated that, and code coverage tools, and your code is ready to be deployed. Okay, once your continuous integration pipeline is successful, then only continuous delivery and continuous deployment will come into the act. So this automates the release of code after CI to a staging or production environment. Manual approval may still be required before actual production release. Like what I have told you already, people will just approve manually for the production once they have validated if everything is fine till staging or pre-prod kind of environment. So whenever you are doing continuous delivery, your code will be automatically deployed till dev, staging or pre-prod environment. But in production, manual approval will be required. Okay. What are the benefits of continuous delivery? Reduces risk in the release process, enables quicker feedback on the quality of the code. How this reduces risk in the release process? Because this requires manual approval, and if there is some issue till staging or pre-prod, this can still be fixed before approving the changes. That can be deployed again till staging and pre-production, and if everything is fine, then only this will be approved and deployed to the production. So this reduces risk in the release process, enables quicker feedback on the quality of code. Like I already said, if you have just implemented continuous integration pipeline, there you'll be getting some of the feedbacks, like unit test cases, SonarQube scans, and all those type of scans. Once that is complete, you will be deploying that to QA environment. There automation testing will be running, manual testing will be done. If there is any issues, the testers will be creating the bug for you, and you can fix that bug. This way your quality of code will be approved so that this code will not break the production. What are the examples? Use of Azure Pipelines, GitLab CI/CD for CD pipelines. You can use Jenkins as well for creating CD pipelines or continuous deployment pipeline. Okay, what are the use cases for continuous delivery? You can consider this scenario where a mobile app where regular feature updates are pushed to a staging environment for testing. You can just notice the environment that is staging, not the production. Okay, tools. What are the tools? Azure DevOps, Jenkins, GitHub Actions as well, or GitLab CI/CD. There are many tools available in the market for the CI/CD pipelines. Automated deployment to a staging server after CI test pass. CI is nothing but continuous integration pipeline. So once your continuous integration is pipeline is complete, that will automatically trigger the continuous delivery pipeline. Okay, which will deploy the code automatically till staging environment. And for production, if everything is fine, manual approval is required or someone approves, then only it will deploy to the production. What are the impact? Early identification of production issues in staging environment. Fast bug fixes, like we already discussed. You can identify the issues early in your staging environment and you can fix them so that you don't find any issues in your production and your production will be okay and running. Now let's see what is continuous deployment. This automates the entire release process. You can just focus this in entire release process. That means from development to production environment. Nothing is manual in this continuous deployment. Everything is automated. Once your continuous integration pipeline is complete and continuous deployment pipeline is triggered, this will deploy in all the environments without any manual approvals. Okay. Automates the entire release process, including production deployment without manual intervention, like I already said. Ensures every code change that passes automated test is deployed directly to the production. Okay. Whenever your code is complete and passed automation testing and testing, this will be deployed directly to the production. What are the benefits? Reduces the time for code changes to the production. Of course, because we are just deploying everything in one go till production, this will reduce the time. Encourage the culture of accountability and rigorous automated testing. So this way you can enable the automation testing in the code, in the pipeline itself, so that you don't have to test everything manually. What are the examples? Deploying microservices using Docker and Kubernetes. You can directly deploy your microservices using Docker and Kubernetes with continuous deployment pipeline. Let's now see the use cases for continuous deployments. Consider this scenario: an e-commerce platform where frequent updates are made to the backend service. Okay, continuous deployment ensures every successful build is deployed to the production Kubernetes cluster. Okay, whenever frequent updates are required in any of the application, you can use this continuous deployment. Like in this example, if frequent updates are made in this backend service of that e-commerce platform, continuous deployment can be used to deploy the pipeline till production in their cluster. Okay, these tools can be used like Docker, Kubernetes, and Jenkins. What are the impact? Faster time to market. If you are using continuous deployment, you will be able to deploy your application very fast, and it will make your application go live and to the end users. Enhanced reliability. If you have enabled everything or added everything inside your continuous deployment pipeline, such as test cases and automation testing, unit testing and all, this will make sure that your pipeline is reliable and your code is being released successfully and easily in the to the end users. This improves the feedback loop as well. I will show you what is feedback loop. Whenever you are building the code from there, it will go ahead and it will run the test cases. It will deploy that and it will again go to the tester. They will give the feedback. So this is called the feedback loop. I will show you just one diagram later. In there, I will make you understand what is this loop. Let's now focus what is the differences. This is very important questions in interview. What is the difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment? At least this is the important one. Continuous integration, this already you just understood. Focus on frequent merging of code and automated testing. This is nothing but creating a pipeline. Whenever you push the change, this pipeline will be triggered. This will build your code. This will run the unit test cases or any type of testing if you want. And this will also run the source code scans like SonarQube and library scans like Nexus IQ. This is called continuous integration. Once that is done, you will be deploying that code. To deploy the code, you generally use continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Continuous delivery extends CI by automating deployment to a production like environment, but manual approval for production. And in case of continuous deployment, full automation of the release pipeline including production. So this is just the minor difference between both. Both are almost similar, continuous deployment and continuous delivery. Everything is same, approx the except this production release. Generally, we include production as well in the continuous deployment. But in case of continuous delivery, we deploy the code manually, or we require manual approval for the code for the deployment in production. Okay, but in case of continuous deployment, we deploy from Dev, QA, and all environment automatically with the pipeline without any manual approval. This is the pipeline architecture, or you also can say the DevOps architecture. Okay, you can see here, if you see the diagram, from here we start. First we plan that if we have to deploy some of the application or create the application, first we plan that. Once planning is done, we code that. Once coding is done, complete, we build that code. Once code is built, we test that code. Okay, so from here to here, this is nothing but dev. This is development, and from here to here, this is the operations. Like once testing is done, we release that. Okay, once that is done, we deploy that to our environments. We operate that, and finally we monitor that. If some issue is there or something like that, again we go to the plan, code, build. So this goes into the loop. So this is nothing but the feedback loop. Again, it will come to plan. Once if any issue is there after deployment, again it will come to this loop itself. Again, plan will be done, code will be done, build, test, release, deploy. This will be going in the loop. So combination of these both, or all set of tasks here in this loop, is called DevOps. Okay. Now let's see what is the architecture of CI/CD pipeline. If you see this diagram, you can see we generally have one version control like GitHub or Azure repositories, where we code that, where we write our code. Okay, whatever you have the requirement after planning, we code that using some version control like GitHub, Azure repository, Bitbucket, GitLab, and all. Once coding is done, we build that code. Okay, this is the part. We build that code, we compile that, run the test cases, run the unit test cases, and we run SonarQube, Nexus IQ scans in there, and we also push our artifact, package the artifact, and push that to some of the repository like Nexus repository, artifact feed, or somewhere else whenever you want. Okay, so this part is building, compiling the artifact, and building the code along with pushing your artifact to the repository. Once your code is built, we test that. We run the smoke testing, unit testing, and integration testing. Once testing is done, we deploy that. We deploy that code to the staging, test, and production. Okay, so you can see the life cycle from coding to building to testing and deploying. So this life cycle basically you can say is DevOps. Okay, so if you are a DevOps engineer, you will have to do everything. You will get the code from the developers, you will have to build that, you will have to integrate testing in the pipeline, and you will have to create release pipelines to run the test cases or to deploy your code into the different environments like staging, production, or pre-production. These are some of the steps like we already discussed. First, you will have to code. That is, your code will be inside version control like GitHub or somewhere else. Once that is coding is done, you build the code, automated builds. You run the test cases, automated unit integration and functional testing. Once that is done, we deploy the code to different environments. Like you can deploy that in dev environments. You can deploy that to staging QA environments so that your QA tester will be doing the testing. Once everything is done, we deploy the code to production. So this is the architecture of DevOps and CI/CD. This is the main part of DevOps. This is called DevOps. Let's move ahead. These are some of the common tools for CI/CD. You can see for CI tools, we generally use Jenkins. This is the very popular one, the Jenkins one, Azure Pipelines, GitHub Actions, Circle CI, and many tools are there. Okay, for CD, we also have some of the pipelines like this GitLab CI/CD, Bamboo, Jenkins, Azure Pipelines, all these things we can use for CD or continuous deployment pipelines as well. Okay, these are some of the deployment tools: Kubernetes, Docker, Helm chart we use for deployment in Kubernetes. We'll be discussing each tool in our future videos. Okay, for monitoring, these are some of the tools we can use, like Azure Monitor in Azure, and these are some of the third-party tools. Now let's discuss what are the benefits of CI/CD in DevOps. This enables faster development cycles, like we already discussed. If everything is being done with automation and pipelines, of course, if there is no human intervention is required, or no human or nothing is being done by humans, this will be development cycle will be fast. Code will be built faster in couple of minutes. Your coding will be done easily, and deployment will also be done in minutes because everything is automated using the pipelines. So CI/CD automates most processes, reducing delays. Okay. DevOps is nothing but automation. If you are automating everything, that means you are a DevOps engineer. Okay. Improved code quality. Frequent testing ensures bugs are caught early. Multiple tests are being done in DevOps. You can see from running the unit test cases in continuous integration pipeline, running SonarQube scans and Nexus IQ scans in continuous integration pipeline, to running smoke testing, multiple type of testing like functional testing, regression testing, and all kind of testing inside the continuous delivery or even in continuous integration pipeline to just get the bugs, so that bugs will be caught early and you can fix the bugs easily. So this will improve the code quality. This reduces risk as well. You keep getting continuous feedback from automated pipelines, so that this will help you reduce the risk and caught any issues before the production, so that you don't break your code or don't break your production environment. Okay, using the continuous or CI/CD pipelines, you can easily scale deployments with microservices architecture, or even any other architecture. So this enables scalability, because this is quick and very easy to change anything, whatever you want inside your application. What are the real world use cases of CI/CD? Generally, most or so many companies now use the DevOps, and even if they are not using, they are quickly migrating to the DevOps, because if they are not using DevOps, then they will be far behind from their competitors. So many and most of the companies are now using DevOps. That's why DevOps is in high demand. What are the real world use cases? Netflix, they are using to continuously deployment their microservices. Facebook are using, okay, CI/CD for rapid iteration and feature rollouts. Amazon is using for continuous deployment for thousands of production changes daily. So many, and you can say most of the companies or organizations are now using DevOps to deploy their code frequently and deploy their updates frequently for their application, for their end users. Let's now conclude this. We discussed CI/CD streamlines development and operations collaborations. Continuous integration helps identify bugs early. Continuous delivery ensures a smooth release process. Continuous deployment enables fast automated production updates. Okay, so that's it. In this video, we have discussed everything about DevOps concepts, basic DevOps concepts, like what is DevOps, what is CI/CD, what is continuous delivery, deployment, and continuous integration. We discussed different use cases. We discussed about the differences in all of those as well. That's it from this video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe my channel. If you have any feedback or suggestions or even questions, you can just write that in the comments. Thanks for watching.